August 31st, you'll be in Buffalo. What can people expect from the show?
A funky, folky good time. I don't know. Um, yeah, well, I have an awesome band. Um, Drums, bass, and pedal steel guitar. And yeah, wonderful. I'm sharing the stage with Alinda. Hooray from the riffraff. Hooray for the riffraff and from. And yeah, I'm just gonna be excited to be back in my hometown after uh, so many years absence. I don't know when the last time I was in Buffalo. So yeah, we're just gonna rock out, play a bunch of new songs, some old songs, mix it up, pray for good weather.
Absolutely. This is your first time playing Outer Harbor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And with your music being so DIY and independent and starting your own label in Buffalo, how has the city shaped both your music and your style?
Well, um, I don't know. It's hard to dissect oneself sometimes, but I'll try. I mean, Buffalo is a real place, It's certainly the Buffalo I grew up in the 70s, 80s.
Mhm.
Um, it was, a hard knock place, a place for yeah, I think maybe just my nature being not um and even the way that I approach my art and performance, it's not really about the big show. There's no flash, there's no pomp and circumstance. There's just being in the moment
Mhm.
and being real with people and trying to share something very, very, very primal, not not sophisticated and technological or all the other options. So I don't know, maybe that's the Buffalo in me, where when you grow up without a lot of flash,
Mhm.
um, you build your life around something much simpler and more human. I mean, that's my favorite one of my favorite aspects about Buffalo is how the struggle, even say the struggle of winter and snow, brings people together. We shovel each other out. We have house parties. We make it we make it happen um, with what we got. So I think that's sort of definitely a part of me.
Mhm. And now, you talk about the more human element to it. Um, and I guess there's two songs, one from the new album, New Bible, where you talk about returning to the flowers, and that's being like the hope and technology ultimately getting us nowhere, and people stuck in their screens. And probably my favorite song of yours is Hypnotize, and you also kind of share that sentiment. Um, talking about, a soulless singer singing over a beat made by machines. And I guess with that song, first of all, is that based on a specific place? And second of all, how has that sentiment carried through to today's times as technology continues to, um, I guess, permeate culture?
It's the song Hypnotized that you're asking about the place or
Correct.
New
Yeah.
Bible?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I wrote that song in Japan, actually. Um, I was playing over there and but it's about the whole world of yeah, like we're talking about of culture that may or may not have soul in it, of
Mhm.
music that maybe like tastes good or sweet to the tongue, but it doesn't fortify,
Mhm.
It's not nutritious. And, just the sort of, I don't know, I'm not a big, just something about the top of the pops and pop music and major label industry. As you know, maybe I've avoided that world for so many reasons. And yeah, mainly just because I don't find it inspiring. And I'd rather see something imperfect
Mhm.
but real. Um, so yeah, that's sort of what that song is about. It's always kills me to go. I was just touring around Europe last month, and you'll be sitting in these beautiful, evocative settings in these cafes, and there's some really generic Euro house dance, stuff playing, at a volume that you can't avoid. And yeah, for me, it just kills it. Like when your environment is physically so imbued with soul and history, but the music that you're listening to is not,
Mhm.
it's like, you're ruining it. You're ruining it, DJ. Um, yeah, so I guess, I've just always favored in my art and my music things that were, yeah, less perfect and more real.
And you also have a documentary out, 1-800 on Your Own, directed by Dana Floor. It screened in Buffalo at the North Park Theater. How did that come together? How were you approached about it? And what did you think about the final product?
Well, I guess Dana Floor, the director, was interested in making a documentary about me, and I watched some of her previous work and thought it was really cool. Some films she made prior to that one. I met her, and we related to each other, on just being artists, but artists with, that try to make things that are useful, helpful to people,
Mhm.
to put it in some weird general way. So I just thought, okay, this is a chick on a mission. I respect her. I'll just say yes. So um, she hung around for a few years. Um, and the film captures, well, me on the road, and then the pandemic hits, and it's me very much not on the road, and it's me making the Revolutionary Love album, which is the one prior to my latest album. And just the sort of my life at the time. There's some retrospective footage. She busted open the vault to see what, historical footage was in there. And so there's a little bit of an overview, but it's also, I would say, mostly a few years in the life. And she chose to focus on my feminism and my circumstance as a working mom, to
Mhm.
put it that way, and also, a mom whose job has them travel a lot, and what that looks like to try and be married, to try and be a mom, to try and be all the things at once, and also be on a mission in the world. So, um, what do I think of it? I mean, it's not a, it's really hard to have somebody make a documentary about you. It's of course not the documentary I would have made. How could it be? I don't know what I would have made to show my life, but it's very much her film. I stayed out of it,
Mhm.
like really stayed out of it. And my approach, I guess, which is typical of me, was just to try to pretend it's not happening, try to live like no one's watching. Um, and so I think, when I look at it, um, I'm just practiced enough now at divorcing myself from myself um, to appreciate how super real it is. I mean, it's one person's perspective, of course, but there's no there's no shining up for the cameras. It's kind of, even though I look like hell half the time, it's sort of liberating, even to me, to see somebody give so little fucks. Can I say that?
Yeah.
On whatever platform we're it's yeah. So I think and I've heard that people find it inspirational, and that's really all that matters.
You talk about your activism, being a feminist, queer icon in the music industry. From your perspective, how have things changed since you kind of broke into the industry, founded Righteous Babe? Um, how have things changed in terms of that in the past couple decades?
In the music industry,
Yeah.
I mean, just so it's pretty night and day,
Mm,
from when I began. Certainly, the internet is a biggie. I mean, that's
right.
changed everything for everyone. So, and created a lot of possibilities, for people to explore. I was sort of pushing back against the industry and the idea of having to sort of sell your soul to whatever the
Mhm.
business people, to have a career in music. And
Mhm.
so now, of course, there are so many more possibilities for cutting out the middlemen, and we see it every day, all day long.
Mhm.
Um, so that's pretty hip. And of course, it's been a slow, steady expansion of inclusion, for women and for whatever, every non-white male, every marginalized identity element, whatever, name it, white straight male, so we've seen the telling of more and more diverse stories in our culture, and I think that only makes us stronger, of course.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, Together we know a lot more than we do on our own, so um, that's been exciting to see, but of course it's not linear and it's not dependable for everyone in every moment. So, um, sometimes it can look as dire in any given moment for any given person as it did 30 years ago.
Mhm. And you talk about togetherness, and I know that's kind of been a theme, and you've talked about it before. Um, and I guess you talked about the doc focusing on pandemic era as well. In terms of the pandemic and togetherness, the idea of everybody coming together, sharing ideas. Um, how do you, in hindsight now, look at the pandemic as having affected the artistic community in terms of sharing ideas?
Well, I mean, it opened up a lot of possibilities for people. We all got really good at sharing ideas the way we are now,
Hmm.
although technology so rarely cooperates. Um, but it's no replacement.
Right.
And I mean, to me, that's very heartening, that being in the room with people, or whatever it is, in the field out in outer harbor number B, or what, whatever we're going to be at in Buffalo, there's nothing like that. um and I think never will be, to be in each other's presence
Hmm.
and to feel each other and to exchange actual energy moving between people. I think that there are discoveries that we can't and ways that we can share and uplift each other in real time that we can't any other way. So, I mean, for me, that's been a great blessing, because getting back to the conversation we were having a minute ago, no matter how sophisticated technology gets, it's it'll never replace the social act of music, you know, that is a way that people bond and find themselves and each other, um, you know, uh, in real time, in real space. So, that's meant that, I, for one, will always have a job. I feel like, as long as people still love to gather and feel each other and experience music that's related to a moment,
Hmm. Absolutely.
and an exchange of energy between people, then I always have a gig.
And now, two last questions. Back to the tour. Um, I believe, and I could be wrong on this, so correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the only song from the new record that you have not played live yet is more or less free. Will that song find its way to a future set list?
Well, perhaps. Is this a request?
It,
I
perhaps.
I I don't know. Yeah, perhaps. Okay, perhaps a request. Um, yeah. Why hasn't, yeah, I mean, I should try to bring all these songs out um at some point or other. So maybe I'll try to, it's for me, life is happening so fast and I have so many things
Mhm.
in my brain these days that even all the songs on the new album are not in there.
Mhm.
I need to go relearn them, as soon as they're released. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe so.
And then last question, playing at home in Buffalo, how is that different than playing anywhere else? Like playing to your home crowd?
Yeah, well, I've been living in New Orleans for 20 plus years now. So, um, what is my home crowd these days? I don't know, but it's certainly there's no place like where you're from. And
Mhm.
I mean, for me, I'd just be so happy to see many people that I love dearly,
Mhm.
many friends and family. Um, so for me, I think playing in Buffalo will feel a lot like that. It'll feel like playing in the presence of near and dear, which can be actually really intimidating, you know, and kind of scary.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's all I have. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it.
All right, Adam, thank you.